Hey guys, welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. My name's Neil and it's time for the next episode of Squid Game. I've just watched the premiere episode and I'm hooked. I'm sure I'm not the only one. We know that this has become a global phenomenon. It feels like overnight. It's the most watched series in Netflix history, which is crazy. But I get it. It's a compelling show. It's universal in its appeal and its understanding. Like, everybody understands the concept of crushing debt. Reality television has become a global phenomenon in the last 20 plus years. I remember back in the 80s and 90s, and every so often you'd catch a clip of a Japanese game show, and the Japanese were ahead of the game. They had over-the-top, ridiculous game shows that were more than just the sort of classic American one where you sit in a studio and answer questions and that sort of thing. You know, they involved physical challenges and all sorts of ridiculous situations, and they were so insane back in the 80s and 90s. That's how we all felt about them. And then that's what game shows and reality TV became in North America. That wave hit North America and it exploded, and everybody kind of gets the idea behind this. And so I'm curious to see whether the remaining contestants in this game start sort of following what we've come to know about sort of reality game show tropes. You know, will there be alliances? Will there be backstabbing? Will there be deceit and manipulation and all of these sorts of things that seem to become part of the game? You know, this is the realist definition of Survivor, isn't it? You know, whoever is still alive at the end wins the money. And that's fascinating to me. One of the things that I didn't talk about last episode were the 3 rules in the waiver. Now, I haven't done the edit of one yet, so I may not have these exactly right in my head. I've just finished watching the premiere. But the one that was most interesting to me was the 3rd rule, which was games can stop with a majority vote. So if enough of the survivors say, we want to stop, does that mean the competition is over? And does that mean they get to split the pot, or does that mean they all just go home? I suspect it would mean they all just go home, but there will be enough contestants in the game desperate enough to get that money that they will stay in the game thinking they have a chance. Now, there's only 6 games in total. We're 1 down, so we're going to lose contestants fast and furiously in this series, I feel like. But I'm very curious to see 2 big things. Obviously, what's the reaction going to be now that they know what the game actually is, that they can die? And I imagine that's going to be the bulk of this episode, them sort of dealing with that and wrapping their heads around the new facts of their reality. But I'm also hoping we get another game. And what's that going to be? I think they're all going to be childhood playground style games that everybody knows and everyone can understand. Simple games, but definitely ones that have winners and losers. And will the final game perhaps be the Squid Game that we were introduced to in the very opening minutes of the premiere episode? Something to think about and anticipate. Anyway, let's jump into episode 2 of Squid Game. This one is called Hell. That's encouraging. Yeah, the fires of hell, there we are. Are they just burning all the bodies? How do they dispose of all the bodies? That's interesting too, isn't it? Is that what Korean coffins look like? Do they get that sort of gift wrap ribbon sort of thing? Somebody's alive? Not for long. Episode 2, Hell. Is that the guy that saved him in behind?
상우야,
199?
고맙다. 2 사람 덕에 살았어요.
첫 번째 게임을 통과한 참가자 여러분, 진심으로 축하합니다. 456명 중에 255명이 탈락하여.
Okay. Fewer than I thought.
제발 살려주세요. 돈은 어떻게든 갚을게요. 제발 살려주세요.
저희는 여러분을 해치거나 돈을 받아내려는 게 아닙니다. 동의서 제1항 참가자는 게임을 임의로 중단할 수. 동의서 제2항 게임을 거부하는 참가자는.
동의서 제3항 참가자 과반수가 동의를 하면 게임은 중단된다.
Yeah.
여러분의 뜻에 따라 게임의 중단 여부를 투표하겠습니다.
Okay. What are they going to do to make everyone rethink it?
그럼 투표에 앞서 첫 번째 게임에서 적립된
Suddenly people are going to rethink. Because it's going to be an insane amount of money, isn't it?
$255억의 상금이
billion.
돼지 점통에 적립되었습니다. 저 255억은 탈락한 참가자들의 유가족. 여러분들은 빈손으로
Oh. So the money goes to the dead.
여러분 가슴에 있는 번호에 역순으로 하겠습니다.
So 4, 5, 6 goes
456번
first.
투표해 주세요.
He's going to keep playing, isn't he? No? Okay. He wants to go home. It's not so easy, is it? You get nothing. The dead get money. Unless you last. It's going to be close, but they're going to keep playing. I wonder how many times they're going to end up voting. It's going to come down to the old man, and it's going to be he's going to be the deciding vote, isn't he? Our old man. He's really desperate. He needs the money. He's going to do it. He's going to hit the green. Yeah. Interesting that it's not a blind vote. 101 wanted out. 67 wanted in. Oh. Is it going to come down to number one? I think it is. Yep, of course it is. And that's why there's 201 survivors, because it makes it super easy
마지막 투표자입니다.
aesthetically.
1번.
They voted to go home.
게임의 재개를 원하시면 언제든 게임을 다시
Are we going to vote again? So confused. Okay, they're out. Who's he with? 67? This is not the way I expected it to go. How many people are going to
사장님.
call back?
여기 어디예요? 사장님, 전화 있어요? 감사합니다.
기다렸다가 버스 타고 가요.
안 돼요. 나 돈 없어요. 감사합니다.
What is
감사합니다,
So
사장님.
Buddy's like in for like cyber fraud or
사장님
something.
아니니까 사장님 소리 좀 그만하고.
이상한 사람들이 모르는 사람들 수백 명을 운동장에 모아놓고 게임을 하라고 하고 총으로 막 쏴주겠다 그거죠?
그래서 거기가 어디예요? 그 사람
Yeah, but I mean, how many people are going to report this to police? Like, they'll get enough
어딘지
corroboration that they'll.
피해자들이 우리 나가고 싶어요 했더니 살인자들이 그래요 나가세요라고 했다.
예.
It sounds ridiculous, but
거긴 처음에 왜 가신 건데요?
이게 그놈들이 준 명함이니까 여기로 전화해 보면 될 거 아니야.
oh.
지금 하신 번호는 없는 번호입니다. 확인 후 다시 걸어주시기 바랍니다.
들어갑니다.
Well, that guy was a cop, a detective, undercover. Plain clothes, anyway. But he's seen the symbols. He's going to start putting it together, maybe.
다시 벌면 되지. 엄마한테 가서 다 말씀드리고 새로 시작해.
다시 벌어 60억을
60억? 그냥 개인 파산 신청 같은 거.
내 거 말고 어머니 것까지 다 들어갔어. 집이랑 엄마 가게까지 다.
Oh, mom's in the hospital.
당뇨입니다. 올해 방치해서 합병증까지 왔어요.
The real world is hell. That's what this episode's all about, isn't it?
아, 엄마 어디가? 입원하라잖아.
입원한 값하고 약값하고 얼마인지는 알아.
보험
Don't they have universal health care in South Korea?
다 써버렸잖아.
Yeah.
내돈 가져오면 될 거 아니야?
I bet a ton of them are going to call back.
별일 없을 거예요. 형 가끔 그러잖아요. 연락도 잘 안 받고.
So his brother was probably one of the same. Lots of clues in here. Dead fish, though. It's been a while. What's up? I mean, the lighter gun that he gave his daughter, the coffins, that gift, they're all wrapped very much in the same way. Black box, red or pink ribbon. Is that the same boy that worked the claw game?
엄마 금방 데리고 온다며. 한 달만 있다가 엄마 오면 나같이 살 거라며.
엄마 아버지 꼭 오실 거다. 누나가 꼭 그렇게 만들 거야.
Okay. We're getting to learn more about the personal dramas of everyone, which is good. Big sister looking out for little brother. Childhood friend in massive debt.
사장님, 밀린 월급 주세요.
돈이 없어. 너 알다시피 회사 사장.
저 손가락 치료 잘 못 받았어요. 병원비 제대로 못 받았어요. 제발요, 돈 주세요. 6달도 더 지났잖아요.
아이 새끼가 진짜. 야, 다음 얘기하자. 내가 좀 바쁘다.
여기 돈 있잖아. 내 새끼 내 돈 줘. 나 이 새끼야. 내 돈 줘.
Brutal. Maybe there should have been a safety mechanism near that machinery, though, if it's that easy.
맘먹고 튄 브로코드를 찾을 방법이 없디. 당한 사람이 너
그럼 다른 방법은 없는 건가요?
다시 다른 브로커를 고용해야 돼.
얼만데요?
일단 니네 부모 소재
So their
파악부터
parents,
다시 해야
her
되고.
parents are in North Korea,
그 국경 경비
and she's trying to smuggle them out.
4천 이상은 있어야 이 남조선으로
돈 구해온다. 한 번 더 나 속이면 다음엔 무조건 네 목부터 딸 거야.
She is a pickpocket.
언제 돌아와?
좀 걸릴 것 같아.
아유 그래. 우리 아들 힘들겠네.
엄마.
아줌마, 무로징어 데쳐 먹을 걸로 3마리만 주세요.
아 예, 잠깐만요. 상우야, 손님 왔다.
Squid. The game itself hasn't been really named yet, though, has it? What was that on the burner? Is that just like he wants to kill himself? But is that just like an incense thing, or is that something else? Awfully persistent on the doorbell. So everyone gets a couple more days back to think about it, and now they're offering it up to everyone again.
Ali, किस चीज के पैसे है ये?
ये पैसे लो और जितना जल्दी हो सके फ्लाइट टिकट बुक करके बच्चे को लेकर घर वापस जाओ।
और आप?
तुम दोनों को पहले वापस जाना होगा। उम्मीद है तुम मेरी इस परेशानी को समझ पा रही होगी।
Who is it?
아네.
It's the old man. Yeah,
영감님.
001.
맞지? 우리가 인연이 있나 보네.
Coincidence or fate? Never had ramen dry.
영감님 괜찮으세요? 근데 이건 너무 많이 드시는 거
Oh
아니에요?
yeah, you have to pour for each other, don't you? One day I'm gonna try ramen dry just to see.
나 다시 가기로 했어. 밖에 나와 보니까 그 사람들 말이
Yeah.
다 맞더라고. 여기가 더
The real world is hell if you're poor, isn't it? Especially in a society that values money over everything else. If you have no money, you have no value.
그동안 어디 숨어 계셨어요?
그건 뭐 여기서 얘기할 건 아니고 그놈들 총이 있어. 근데 픽업은 한 놈이 나와. 그 가면 쓴 새끼를 잡아 조져가지고 이 새끼들 금고 있는 대로 쳐들어가는 거야.
I think we can assume 101's not going to survive that little plan of his.
형님 그러니까 그거 좀 적당히 좀 하시지. 네가 빌린 돈 대신에 네 간, 콩팥, 눈깔로 받아간다고 지금 여기까지 왔잖아.
가라! 와봐 이
It's not a super high bridge, but
200만 원? 나한테 위자료를 줬어? 아니면 애들 양육비를 한 번 준 적 있어? 그러니까 어떻게 나한테 또 손을 벌려?
여보, 우리 왔어.
일찍 왔네.
아빠.
아빠 또 올게.
저기요. 돈 필요하다면서요.
he just had that on him.
우리 가족 앞에 다시는 안 나타나 주셨으면 합니다. 이제 미국으로 떠나야 되는데 자꾸 이런 식으로 부스 나타나시.
이 새끼가 돈이면 다 되는 줄 알아.
Yeah, that's kind of the real message of the show, isn't it? Does money solve everything, or maybe the really difficult message is that we have to accept that it does, but it shouldn't, obviously.
정기훈 씨,
Oh, he found him already.
얼마 전에 신고하러 지구대 오셨죠?
아, 그거 제가 그냥 지어낸 얘기입니다.
도와주십시오. 저희 형 찾아야 합니다.
Presumably his brother died in red light, green light.
죄송한데요.
Everyone's going back. I wonder how many of the 201. They're all going back. No password this time. So 101 gave up on his plan already. Is that the detective? Must be. Oh. Interesting. I'm really enjoying this because I thought I knew what I was going to expect from this episode, and it didn't go there at all. It actually returned everybody to the real world. I had this feeling that we'd never leave the game, that people would keep voting to keep playing. And that whole scenario played out when they did the vote in the game, and it came down to 001's vote, but he voted, let's go home. And it turns out I really enjoyed what they did this episode because, you know, yes, we got to know Seong's backstory before the game arrived, but we didn't know anybody else's. And now we do, and we really understand why they're there too, what their motivations are. So now instead of being invested in a single character, we're now invested in six. We've got 4, 5, 6. We've got the old man 01 who's got the brain tumor. He's got nothing to live for in the real world. His days are numbered. We've got 67 who's trying to get her parents out of North Korea and take care of her younger brother. We've got 101, the mid-level crime thug who's on the run from the Filipino casinos, and his boss. We've got I don't know if he, for some reason I want to say Bangladeshi, but he's certainly an immigrant worker in South Korea. He sent his wife and baby back home with the money he stole, but he's on the run. He needs a new life. He needs a way to get back home as well. And we have Seong's old friend from the neighborhood who's in Hawk in debt for what seems to be, I'm assuming 1,000 to 1, and therefore $6 million in debt, and he's and he used his mom's home as collateral and everything. So everyone's in an extreme pickle. And I think, unfortunately, one of the reasons this show is so successful is because so many people understand that inescapable pain of being trapped in debt, trapped in a financial situation that there's no way out of. I've been there. I've been deeply in debt before, avoiding calls from creditors, all of that sort of thing, and that is a difficult hole to pull yourself out of, and it feels hopeless, and it feels incredibly. It pushes you to desperation, is what it does. It puts you in really difficult situations, things that you never thought you would have to do before, just to try and improve your situation. And I think a ton of people identify with that. I think it's a if not universal, it's a very common problem for a ton of people to feel like they'll never get that financial freedom that lets them live the life they want to live. And I'm not talking about winning the lottery. I'm just talking about getting to that level where money isn't a constant daily concern. And I think this episode did a really good job of just showing us all the ways that can occur, and making us really understand the motivation of why people are going back. And, you know, in the first episode, they were all, if not deceived, they certainly weren't told the whole truth. And so they felt like captives. But now that they've all made the choice to go back, knowing what they're going into, that really changes the game, doesn't it? Instead of them being prisoners, now they're willing participants, and that makes things very, very different. So really clever story construction by the creators of this show to really up the ante and raise the stakes, and how to put it, it just makes the story more complex and realer and more universal. Like we're no longer thinking about, you know, oh, I'm a captive. Now it's like, I made the choice to be here, and that's a huge differentiation. It makes a ton of difference as we go further in the story. So again, this episode was not what I expected at all. It was a lot better than what I anticipated, and that's saying a lot, because I had high hopes for the episode. I'm really looking forward to getting deeper into the series. Thank you guys so much for joining me so far on this journey. Until the next episode, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.